What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. We're going to be talking about flashcards today, spaced repetition, and why you should be using the flashcard app called Anki. So what Anki is a spaced repetition platform, essentially. I wouldn't think of it as normal flashcards. The way it works is you will be shown cards, and I'll give you an example in a minute. You're going to do those cards, but then based on an algorithm, a very specific algorithm that is going to be able to show you exactly when you need to see those cards so that you are most likely not to forget them. So if that didn't make sense, let me try and explain it. You're going to see a card. If you get that card right, you're going to see it tomorrow. If you get that card right again, you'll see it in 3 days, then 7 days, then 2 weeks. But let's say you get it wrong, you're going to see it, let's say you were supposed to see it in 7 days. If you got it right, but then you get it wrong, well, now you're going to see it tomorrow again. And so you're going to keep pushing the stuff that you know farther back into, let's say, the algorithm or your decks. And the stuff that you don't know, which you need to be studying more, is going to be higher up, and you're going to be seeing those cards more frequently. So it's very hard to keep track of all this, especially when you're in medical school or studying for a test where you need to memorize a lot of information of where and when you should be studying each of these pieces of material. So Anki does all that for you, and all you have to do is trust the system and do your cards every single day. So let's take a look. Let's hop on now. And if you see right here, I have a flashcard up. This one says the presence of elevated fasting serum gastrin with normal gastric acid, pH less than 4, suggests a diagnosis of. So I think for this, it might be Zollinger-Ellison syndrome. So let's see. Yep. So we got that right. So now if you see, I've done this card a lot actually. So I actually haven't seen this card in a while. I know that because if you look down, it's not going to show it to me now for 2.6 months, which means it's probably been like a month since I've actually seen this card. But because I was able to remember it over the last month, that means that I'm doing a good job, and so now it's not going to show it to me for 2.6 months. Now let's say I would have got it wrong. It would show me if I would have to click again, which means I would see it in 10 minutes, and then what I would most likely see it again if I got it right would be tomorrow instead of 2.6 months from now. Now you could change the settings, so let's say you don't want to see it again tomorrow because you might have known it, but you just need a refresher. You could set it so that it doesn't start completely over in your deck, but maybe show it to you, that card, in a week or 2 weeks, something like that. That's more advanced stuff. We can talk about that in a different video. But for now, we're going to click Good and move on to the next card. So this one says, what is the next step in management for a patient with poorly controlled HIV that presents with mild odinophagia or dysphagia? So the answer to this is going to be empiric fluconazole. The only reason I know this actually is because I just got it wrong. So let's take a look. This is actually a good example because it's something I just got wrong. So empiric fluconazole. All right, here's a good example. So I have my settings so that it doesn't restart back to day one because this card was actually like a month in, and I don't want to go all the way back to the beginning, so I think I have my settings on so that it gives you a little bit of a buffer. So because I got it right now, it's going to show me this card in 5 days. Now let's say I get it right in 5 days, it'll probably show it to me in 10 or 12 days, and so on. So I hope you get the point. That's just a quick example, and here I'll show you what my decks look like. I'm using the Dorian deck right now to study for step 2. I've talked about before using pre-made decks versus making your own cards. I think a combination of both is definitely advisable at the very least, especially if you're studying for things like the MCAT. It's always good to make your own cards as you're going through UWorld. The thing with medical school is there is just a ridiculous quantity of information that it becomes very tedious to make your own cards, and sometimes it's hard to make good cards. Same thing goes for MCAT, but I would say it's not as much information. Med students can potentially be using Anki for 2 straight years just to get everything they need to know for their board exams. So that's why I've flip-flopped on my position a little bit with using pre-made decks for medical school. I think I'm more okay with it as long as you make sure you're understanding the context of every card, not just blindly memorizing a word or a couple of words with that card. So that's a quick overview of Anki, how I'm currently using it for medical school, and why I highly recommend using it over something like Quizlet, which doesn't have the spaced repetition algorithm as I think they tried to use it or make it, but I don't think it was working out as well. And so for right now, the most advanced platform out there and most customizable when it comes to spaced repetition and active recall, which are effective study strategies, is going to be Anki. So hope that helps. Let me know. Comment below. Have you been using Anki? Is it working for you? If not, what questions do you have? And I'll see you in the next video.